very warmly welcome you to Davos. For the forum, it's a great honor to have you for the second time. Relationship. We would like to continue working with you, and we will do more and more things together to make sure that Pakistan remains on the top as it is, but goes even further.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being here, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you, Colette. Thank you, Will. Before I begin, I just want to thank all of you for braving the snow and the security to get here at 7 in the morning. And we deliberately delayed it because there's still a long line up there. I apologize for the inconvenience that people feel because of the seating arrangement, but it's difficult to get 250 people into the room. But that is a commitment to you, Mr. President. The 250 people at 7 o'clock in the morning in the snow have come to hear you speak. I am thankful to the President for being here. I must tell you two things which happened. When the disaster took place, my company, as a service company, security and courier was all over. We lost contact at 9 o'clock with some of our stations. It was not till 1 or 2 o'clock that news started filtering in the extent of the damage. And since I, as a helicopter pilot, have flown extensively in this area, the first thought which came to me was, oh my God, because I know the roads, etc. The second thing, and I must tell you very honestly, I'm saying that I said, thank God we have General Musharraf here. Because that is the critical thing of leadership, which I know about him for over 40 years. He will take a decision. He will not let anything else take a decision, and he will be calm and collected about it. And I sent him a fax on the second day, on the 9th of October. And General Shaukat Sultan rang me back and said, the President thanks you. And that is a tremendous thing for somebody to come back at that point of time. So I now request a leader of this era, and I think the destiny has marked him as a great leader, to speak to you and give his thoughts on geopolitics and economics and whatever else concerns Pakistan, him and all of you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Colette, Ikram Sehgal, ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a pleasure for me to be here for the second time and speaking to this gathering. And I agree, I would like to express my gratitude also for you being here at 7 o'clock in the morning in this weather condition. Now I was wondering, now that I have this opportunity for the second time to talk to all of you, what should be spoken. Actually, there is no dearth of what ought to be spoken, because I think Pakistan is involved directly or indirectly in everything of concern to the world. I think so much is happening in our part of the world, and as I said, Pakistan is directly or indirectly concerned with everything. So the issue is what not to speak, what to eliminate in a time frame of half an hour that is I have set for myself, what are the world's main concerns today? I think there are 5 main concerns of the world today. And this is counter-terrorism, democracy, nuclear proliferation, drugs, and human rights. Pakistan happens to be in the center stage in all 5. Therefore, the significance of what I speak, what we are doing, what our plans are for the future. I wouldn't be able to speak on everything, but I thought I'll first of all speak on the economy, because I'm at the Economic Forum, what we've done very, very briefly. And I would certainly like to have I certainly have the audacity to speak on democracy, being a man in uniform. And then I would like to speak on a subject which is very much very, very familiar to me, and that is fighting terrorism and extremism. Then I would like to talk of our Pakistan's efforts towards contribution towards peace in the region and in the world. And finally, since we've spoken about earthquake, I would like to give a very short update on what we've done, what we've achieved in the earthquake. And last of all, may I leave some thoughts on my very personal thoughts on leadership, my experience on leadership. So talking of economy, I would like to very briefly say that in '99, when I came on the scene, or when I was brought on the scene in Pakistan, the situation was dismal. Our economy we were a failed state, defaulted state. But most of all, I quickly realized that we didn't have a strategy. We didn't have goals and objectives. We didn't know which direction we are going on anything. On anything, whether economy or education or health or in anything, we didn't have a strategy. We didn't have end objectives. So therefore, I call it we were a kind of a rudderless ship in high seas, in turbulent waters, changing directions with each change of government, and governments were changing very, very rapidly. No government ever completed its tenures. So therefore, we were floundering around with no end objectives. That was the main problem in Pakistan. Now is that the Pakistan's economy is on a very high growth rate. All macroeconomic indicators are very, very positive. And they are so positive that they will be sustained. Our GDP has grown by 8.4%. Our debts are down. Our debt to GDP ratio is down, very, very manageable. Our availability of revenue has risen manifold. Exports have risen manifold. When I say manifold, it's over 100% in these last 5 years. And therefore, the money available for our development has risen by 300% in the last 5 years. Our credit rating, therefore, has been enhanced by Moody's and Standard & Poor. The confidence of the international community in our economy is visible in that we floated the Euro bond and the Islamic bond. And I'm very proud to say that there was record offerings for that. So this showed the confidence of the international community in our economy. Our stock exchange today is, they say it's the best performing stock exchange in the world. When I took over, it was at 900, in the index was at 900. Today it is touching 10,500. It has broken all kind of records in the past history of Pakistan. And they say it's going to go up to 12,000 easily. So this is the kind of, and we are, at the government level, we are maintaining consistency of policies, and the exchange rate is stable since the last 5 years, and it will remain stable. So this is the kind of environment we have created. Now I have taken upon myself to transfer these economic gains to the people of Pakistan through trying to fill the gap between policy formulation and policy implementation. There is always a very big gap in every developing country. I think this gap needs to be filled, bridged, because otherwise you sit in capitals and make a lot of strategies, but they don't get implemented that way. So therefore, we need to take steps by introducing a local government system that was meant to fill this gap between policy formulation and implementation. But I personally got involved, and I am involved in trying to address this issue of poverty alleviation and job creation, reducing unemployment. For the first time in our history, poverty and unemployment has taken a dip to the better for the first time in our history. But we need to sustain this and take it down through a strategy. And again, I am very proud to say, ladies and gentlemen, I strategized everything. That was the role I played. I am very clear on the aims and objectives on anything under the sun, whatever we are involved in. I can give a talk on any element. It's the direction that we've adopted and which way we are going. So my involvement to transmit these advantages to the people come in the form of I'm going to not spearhead really, but monitor and encourage or facilitate education, health at the grassroots level, at the very grassroots level. Safe drinking water, electricity, gas, water management. These are the elements which I thought I will personally get involved in to transfer these gains to the people. Let me also say one point that I noted on the strength of the economy and how well we've done. They say whichever country has ever entered the poverty reduction and growth facility of the IMF never has come out of it. Pakistan is the only country in the world, I am told. I hope, Hina, this is correct. I've been told that. You people told me that we are the only country which has come out of PRGF because of the strength of our economy, and we are confident that we can do without it. Now, this was the economy. My concerns now to sustain the economy and take it on a faster growth rate is really to increase investment and increase our exports. Unfortunately, when we saw that, we were stagnating. We were only involved in agriculture and textiles being only 6% of world trade, 61% being in industry and the engineering sector. We were negligible because of our past misperformance, where we had become traders more than manufacturers, and because trading is easy, and unfortunately the governments had been manipulating that to their own advantages. So we decided to go towards industrialization, heavy industry, engineering, high technology, and this is what we decided in 2000. And in this also, I must say, we've come a long way. The industry is showing tremendous growth. The year before last, we grew by 18.2%, and last year we grew by 14.6%, I think. And again, we will maintain that. And I can proudly say that we are doing exceptionally well in automobiles, auto parts, motorcycles, tractors, televisions, air conditioners, refrigerators. The growth is more than 500%, maybe 1,000% in some cases, in the last about 3 years. I can quote the figures. This is the growth. So I'm very glad again. Our per capita income has grown to the extent that from a low income category country, we are in the middle income category country. Purchasing power of people has increased therefore. and therefore the demand-supply gap has increased, and therefore the investment in Pakistan today is most profitable because the demand-supply gap is very large. I keep talking to everyone to draw investment into Pakistan. One of the factors is this, that profitability in Pakistan is very high. I know about 600 to 700 companies in Pakistan, each one of them making a profit of between 20 and 50%, some even making more than 50%. This is no mean achievement, and we don't grudge them that as long as it's a win-win for all sides. But more than that, I keep telling the investors to draw them in, and I'm sure there are some sitting here also, that Pakistan offers great advantages. Pakistan is a large country of 156 million. Pakistan ought to be seen as a hub in that region. Hub from the point of view of the Gulf being in the east and west, and landlocked Central Asian republics and Afghanistan in the north. The fast developing western region of China in the northeast, and South Asia and India in our east. Each one of them is trying to interact with each other on energy, on trade. All of them have to pass through Pakistan to do that. This is the significance of our strategic location. So therefore, Pakistan being in the center, and I call it the trade and energy corridor of this whole region, Pakistan ought to be seen as a hub and not as a standalone country. This much for economy. I think I'll now switch to democracy. As I said, having the audacity to talk about democracy. But let me, in spite of my being in uniform, let me tell you that I am a very, very strong believer in democracy. So therefore, right in the beginning, I undertook to examine why democracy has failed in Pakistan. Democracy has never functioned in Pakistan. We've always had martial laws in Pakistan. Why? I wouldn't go into the details of whether martial law performed better or the civil government performed better, but there were martial laws, and that shouldn't be. So I examined this reality, and I realized that there were two major ills. Number one, that people were not empowered. Democracy had not been taken down to the roots, to the people at the grassroots level. And secondly, there were no checks and balances on the power brokers of Pakistan. Power brokers being three: the president, the prime minister, and the army chief. Luckily, when I took over in '99, I was wearing 4 hats. I was the president, I was the prime minister. President I became later. And I was the army chief, and I was the chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff Committee. So I saw everything and examined everything in its depth. And I tried to set this right. We empowered the people straight away, first of all, through a local government system. Doing away with the pre-colonial period, the colonial period, where it was only 2 people, the DC, Deputy Commissioner, and the Superintendent of Police, running a district, being the kings of the district. We reversed that. And now there is a local government system. There is a mayor, elected man, who heads the district, and these people are under him. So we have empowered the people, in other words, to be supreme in their district. We have empowered the women, and women were never empowered. Women were sidelined. Women were totally alienated, and this happens to be the 50% of our population. We empowered them by giving them fixed reserved seats at every tier, from the Senate to National Assembly and the district government. In the district government, 33% seats are women, reserved, and they can also contest against men over and above. In the National Assembly, 60 seats out of 342 are women, reserved for them. But they can contest also beyond that. And today there are 72 women sitting in our National Assembly, which means 22% of the National Assembly is women. And the 2 ladies sitting here are both women who contested against men and won. That goes to their credit, and they also come from very remote areas of Pakistan, so that goes more to their credit. So this is, we empowered them, we empowered the women, we empowered the minorities. Minorities were feeling a little sidelined because we had joint elected system, which meant thereby that they elect their own representative. They had reserved seats, separate electorate. They used to elect their own, so they never voted for the Muslim candidates. So Muslim candidates didn't have to go to them. So they were really a lot who were totally alienated. We gave them a joint electorate system. And over and above, a joint electorate now means that every candidate has to go to the minorities to ask them for their seats. So they've been mainstreamed in our system, political system. More than that, I realized that if we don't give them fixed seats, reserved seats, they will never win. We won't have any minority in the assembly. So over and above, we gave them reserved seats. This is what we did. We've empowered the minorities in Pakistan. They are mainstream. They feel a part of the system. And this local government system, not only is it introduced, but we have given them financial, political and administrative autonomy. They have the money to spend to decide what development they want, and they do it themselves. An efficient mayor makes all the difference. This system is now maturing and consolidating. We had a full tenure of one elected mayors and council members, and now we had another election after 4 years, and new mayors have taken over, new leaders have taken over at the grassroots. On the top, I thought we need to bring checks and balances on the power brokers. Now here I've done something which to the West may appear undemocratic, but there is no set formula for democracy. Absolutely. There cannot be an imposition of British system to Pakistan or to Malaysia or to some African country. No, that is not possible. We have failed because of that, in fact. What I did was to create a National Security Council. I saw what is the problem. Problem in Pakistan is that the leader, the government leader, the Prime Minister of Pakistan has been misgoverning. How to check him? And there is no check. Nobody checks him. The only check is with the President. That too was removed by the last Prime Minister, that he could dismiss the Assembly under Article 58(2)(b) of the Constitution. But that is very bad, because then this President could be impulsive also, which was the example. There are examples where the President was very impulsive, just dismissed the Assembly and removed the Prime Minister. And then the army chief could be very aggressive and impulsive also. And also he has all the power, the gun power. But more than that, the people of Pakistan think a lot about the army. They think that this army, which is an integrative force, it has components, it has people from all 4 provinces of Pakistan. The people around me, I don't even know where they come from. They come from all over Pakistan. We have very strong bonds. Therefore, whenever Pakistan is in trouble, that includes political trouble. People run to the army chief, save Pakistan. When I was chief, I was the army chief between 98 and 99. And that was the days when we were performing terribly. We were going down, we were being declared a failed state. May I tell you that a number of women came to me and told me, why are you not taking over? Are you going to do that only when the country finishes? And I didn't know what to do. What can one do in that situation? You can go and tell the Prime Minister, okay, get off, and I'm in charge. That's the easiest thing. It's very easy there. But unfortunately, that was not the right thing to do. Therefore, I created an institution in the form of National Security Council, where the members chaired by the Prime Minister, by the President. Prime Minister is there, leader of opposition is there. Chairman Senate is there. Speaker of the National Assembly is there. And the chief ministers are there. And also the uniformed people. Army, Navy, Air Force, chiefs sitting there. Now they are in an institution. The army chief better not take over. He should come here to express whatever he feels. The president better not be impulsive. These people are sitting there, he better call this Security Council and discuss it. And Prime Minister better perform well, because this institution will tell him to, will want it. So therefore, I think I've introduced sustainable democracy in Pakistan. We have also freed the media, by the way. The media is totally independent today. The print and the electronic media. We had only one television channel. Today there are dozens and another dozens waiting to get licenses. This is what a man in uniform has done. To free the media, freedom of speech and expression, empowerment of people, checks and balances. I think I have introduced sustainable democracy, the real essence of democracy in Pakistan. Now I'll switch to war against terrorism and extremism. I don't want to get into details. I would like to say that Pakistan maybe is the only country which has contributed maximum to bring peace, not only in our region but to the world. We have not only succeeded in our cities by arresting about 700 Al-Qaeda people, attacked them in the mountains with about 80,000 troops operating, captured their sanctuaries, which were their command centers, their logistic centers, their propaganda bases. They are on the run in the mountains. But however, we all even got such information which we passed to many countries, which saved a number of terrorist attacks. Ladies and gentlemen, you ought to know. The world, many countries of the world owe it to Pakistan to have saved them from some terrorist attacks. Because when we got them, we got some people with computers, and we saw, when we interrogated the man and we came to know that what they are planning, we immediately passed it on to their intelligence, and that is how we contributed to a safer world. So it hurts me when anyone says that Pakistan maybe is dragging its feet or has not done enough in this regard. But I would like to say that terrorism and extremism are two different subjects. This is a confusion in the minds of many people of the world and unfortunately leaders of the world. Terrorism is an offensive, militant act by an individual against innocent people. Therefore, the man or that organization has to be eliminated with force, with military, any force. But extremism is in the mind of a man. You cannot eliminate him. You cannot take physical action against a man. You have to change his mind. Now this is a different ball game. And unfortunately, it's the extremist which is spawning terrorism. So how to address extremism is the issue. And when we are talking of military action against terrorists, I tell everyone, everywhere, please do understand, military is not the end solution in itself. Military buys time for other instruments to be used for ultimate success. If a leader doesn't understand this, I'm very sorry, he doesn't understand anything. Military can never be the end result, and it has to be by other means. The military is only buying time for the world, wherever it is acting. But we have to address this issue of extremism through other means. And that is what we have to do. We have to strategize how to address extremism. It has to be done worldwide, within the Islamic world and within each nation. It has 3 tiers. And my strategy of enlightened moderation really is at the highest level, at the world level, at the Islamic world level. Then we see our respective countries. And as far as Pakistan is concerned, there are 6 areas which we have a 6-point program, the short-term and long-term strategy to address extremism. Pakistan is the only country in the world, I would say, which has taken stock of terrorism and extremism and strategized how to deal with each. and we are proceeding further, going ahead on that, because we want to save our country and bring about a societal transformation in our country. That is what we are doing. That's what we are trying to do. We may be going slow. Some people don't understand why is this happening, why is that happening. Things are happening based on a strategy. We have our end objectives very clear. We may be moving slow somewhere, but we are moving in the right direction. We will reach someday or the other. We are much better off than somebody who is not even moving, he hasn't even understood what the issue is. So that much for terrorism and extremism. And we are succeeding. One of the areas which I would like to mention, other than we thought there are religious political parties which are maybe abetting extremism or encouraging extremism, and I was very worried. And these are the parties which won in the 2002 elections. They won in the frontier province with 76% of the vote, and they formed a government. In Baluchistan, in the second province, they won a lot, and they formed a coalition had to be formed there with them. But I can proudly say that one effort was by them, because they misgoverned, they didn't know how to govern. That was very good. People understood that these are not the people who can govern them well or lead them. The other was, I take credit partially for going around and telling people, don't follow them, they'll take you to disaster. And people understood. And therefore, in the latest local government election in August 2005, in the frontier province, where their government was there, people rejected them because the total seats that they won of mayors was 24.3% only. They have been rejected. And I am reasonably sure that in 2007, when we have the assembly elections, they will go down, and they'll go down to where they came from, which means they used to have around 2, 3, 4%. So that was one of the important areas to limit extremism, bring about a societal transformation towards harmony, towards moderation. I've spoken a lot, so I'm going to skip this contribution to regional and global peace. Of course, this involves enlightened moderation, etc. But I would just like to speak on Pakistan-India relation, because there are Indians sitting here. I would like to say that I am perceived to be a warrior. I am perceived to be a man of war. Yes, indeed, I am a man of war, because I am in uniform. And when I decided to put on the uniform, I put it on to fight, really. So therefore, obviously, I fought wars. But that doesn't mean that I cannot think of peace. And I always think that I may be more eminently qualified to think of peace, because I've seen the real ravages of war. And I haven't seen war in action sitting in drawing rooms. I've been in the front. My own friends have died in my arms. So therefore, I know what war means. My son is named after my best friend who was killed in action. So therefore, I know what war means. Therefore, I am eminently qualified to go for peace. I mean peace and bringing permanent peace to the region. Because if we don't resolve our disputes, one can never guarantee peace. You don't know what kind of leaders will come in the future. What they're at, I may be very good with Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. Is there a guarantee that the next leader who takes over in Pakistan will be that friendly with the leadership there? Therefore, we have to go for peace today and now. We have to resolve our disputes. If we don't, we are letting down our future generations. And I'm very, very clear about it. So therefore, we have to go for peace, and there is a solution. There are 4 minor subjects of Siachen, and we are fighting each other. We've been killing each other For the information of those who don't come from that area, in Siachen we are eyeball to eyeball killing each other every day at heights of, the highest post there is 20,500 feet. 3,000 feet more than Mont Blanc. That is where people are sitting and killing each other. And across the line of control at heights of 16,000, 18,000 feet. Today in these winters where it snows by yards and not by inches, where the temperatures go to minus 50 degrees centigrade. So people think Pakistan is a hot place. So we want to strike for peace. So that is all, or I'll skip the earthquake also. I think I would like to leave it to all of you to ask questions, but all that I'll say about the earthquake is that we created an organization. We created organizations to handle the earthquake. We strategized. I strategized. Because I believe the leader has to strategize. What is the strategy? And then we generated resources. And now we are implementing. We have the resources, we have the strategy, we have the organization of it. And the implementation is being monitored by me. I know the effects that have to be created, so I have to see those effects at the right time, at the right place. That is the fine understanding of the leader that the leader should have. So I'm very confident that we'll deliver. I have no doubts. And I have to be comfortable. People in interviews ask me, you must be very busy and you must be so, you are involved in so many things. No, I'm not involved at all in earthquake. Because I've set an organization into motion. Why am I involved? I can be around here. I know where I have to be at what time. And I will be there to see whether things are moving. So the earthquake relief is going well. We are into the reconstruction and rehabilitation now, and that will be launched. Now I will end by giving you, I thought I must speak on my views on leadership, just leaving a food for thought for anyone, whatever it is worth. I personally feel that a leader must first of all understand with full grasp the environment which he is leading. What environment, what realities, what hopes, what aspirations of people. He must have a very good feel and grasp of his environment. Secondly, he is supposed to strategize. He evolves strategies and end aims and objectives. Set the direction for others to implement. Then he selects a team to implement his strategy. And the team has to be on merit, and they have to be exceptionally good, and there are a lot of people who are good. Then he has to give full backup to that team. Give them confidence, give them support, and give them the confidence that even if they do something wrong, not deliberately, not by design, you are there to back that up even. Let them have that confidence in you. That is how they'll operate freely. That this man is going to back me up, so I will do everything. Sometimes 2 out of 10 times I could go wrong. It shouldn't really bother him. So you support and back up. Then I would say that one has to follow a democratic process, because you have to generate ownership in people. And ownership can be generated when you follow a democratic process. And that is that you take everyone along, discuss everything. Discuss, sit down, encourage opposing views. But once you hear opposing views, you discuss, you must decide. You have to take decisions. A leader has to take decisions. And this is where I believe in what Nixon had written in his book Leaders. Leader must never suffer from paralysis through analysis. Don't keep analyzing and be paralyzed and not taking decisions. And in decisions, may I also add, and this is Napoleon's theory, that a decision is always 2/3 facts and figures, evaluations, calculations, analysis. 1/3 always is a leap in the dark. You can never have 100% facts correct. You have to take that leap in the dark. Any leader, anybody who increases the 1/3 is too impulsive. That means he is not analyzing fully. He is too impulsive. He may lead to disaster because unanalyzed decisions. But anyone who tries to increase the 2/3 is no leader. He is thinking too much. He suffers from paralysis. So you have to have that balance in leadership. But having said that, when I said democratic process of discussion and reaching a decision, then everyone there, even if they had opposing views, have to be on board. If they are not on board, they are not your team. And therefore they have to leave. So you have to be able to fire people. It's easy to fire a person who's disloyal or untrustworthy or anything. But it's very difficult to fire a man who's loyal and his master's, his obedient servant or whatever. But he's just incompetent and inefficient. Therefore, he has to be fired. So this is what leadership all involves. I think and these are my views on leadership, whatever it is meant. I think I've spoken a lot. I would thank you very much for the patient hearing. I'm prepared to answer any questions.